Hello everybody, welcome to Pralines, Deliciousness from the World of Art. The protagonist of this episode is Titti Garelli, born in Turin in 1948. Her encounter with Sergio, a good painter, but above all a talented designer, proves decisive for her career. It's he who provides her with insight about elaborating precise renderings of particulars. This approach lays the foundation for her artistic growth. Though she gets a diploma in stage and set design at the Albertina Academy of Fine Arts, she makes her professional debut as an advertising illustrator, a flourishing activity that has seen in Italy high-caliber artists such as Leonetto Cappiello, Fortunato De Pero, Marcello Dudovic. Importantly, Titti Garelli takes inspiration from the Victorian images of the golden age of illustration from artists such as Arthur Rackham and Edmund Dulac. This eventually leads her to focus her attention on painting the world of children. The turning point comes when, in the 80s, she gets in contact with Hilary Bradford, a British agent for illustrators and photographers. Thanks to this new contact, Titti Garelli's point of reference becomes the city of Milan, which starts to live an exponential development. From that moment on, her work gains wider recognition both in Italy and abroad. Those are the days of outstanding excellence for advertising illustrators, artists who habitually travel the world to design memorable publicity campaigns. All this illustration world has unfortunately met a rapid decline. The availability of private television broadcasts, of internet, but above all of image processing softwares has brought the entire generation of extraordinary professionals to its knees. Now, allow me a brief digression. For some years, the art world had been conditioned by some key words, among which were the death of painting. These words bring up the idea that an acclaimed artist should have dedicated himself to experimenting with new techniques and new languages, otherwise he would be excluded from the circuit of blue-chip galleries. Thus, driven away from the world of fine art, the creative hands took refuge in the so-called minor arts, such as illustration and comics. Though we have recently witnessed that comics have fought their way to mainstream audience, and it's legitimate to cite Guido Crepax, Andrea Pazienza, Lorenzo Mattotti, among the leading figures of the Italian culture over the last decades, we have to admit that advertising illustration hasn't yet been appropriately historicized. Yet, we are talking about an art sector that has left an influential impact on the cultivation of the collective imagination of the epoch. Back to Titti Garelli, over the 80s, she undertakes ever more important advertising projects. For a period, some major brands entrusted their ad campaigns to her. Dedicating herself to depicting children and natural scenes, Titti Garelli decides to create a body of work which is first exhibited in 1986 at the Nuage Gallery of Cristina Taverna, a pioneer engaged in the promotion of illustration art. Titti Garelli, as a freelance artist, divides her output into series. For example, she realizes a series titled Bad Girls or another titled Tour of the World with 80 Girls. But the series that has received the highest accolade is the one dedicated to Gothic queens. The term Gothic is often associated with disquieting atmospheres. In fact, in her works, there are recurrent symbols alluding to subtle cruelty. Through her Gothic queens, Titti Garelli wants to invite us to go back to the start of the Gothic period, when international Gothic refers to a sublime art, much lauded in the principal centers of European culture, and Italy was home to such eminent artists as Gentile da Fabriano and Michelino da Besozzo. Titti Garelli's queen stand for an ideal and timeless beauty. Their garments take source from the artist's lavishly rich personal archive. In fact, each and every item that serves to dress her queens is reminiscent of a certain collection of a famous painting or has a special symbolic meaning. For example, this painting called Macau Queen is part of a project ideated for a cruise liner. It draws inspiration from wondrous eastern screens. The queen is wearing a dark green dress designed by Alexander McQueen, adorned with a large collar made of parrot feathers. She holds a royal orb in her hands and wears a tiara designed by Cartier, made of burnished steel and enriched with diamonds and rubies. Two magnificent parrots positioned on both sides act as two page boys. These are stunning works of art. They are the end products of a combination of technical virtuosity with wider erudition. They arouse in the audiences a sense of enchantment and wonder, which proves to be the ultimate aim of art. I stop here. Thank you for listening. Don't miss the next episode of Pralines, Deliciousness from the World of Art.